The Hittites lived in Anatolia between the 17th and 13th centuries BC, which was the Bronze Age. They built a huge empire that, at its peak, was as beautiful as Egypt's and Mesopotamia's. The Hittites possessed a civilization that was highly developed and advanced in technology, architecture, and the arts. On the battlefield, they stood out for their expertise in weapon production and military organization. In their religion, they venerated a variety of gods and goddesses, and they left behind a great quantity of religious texts on cuneiform tablets. During the time of their empire, the Hittites were able to control a large part of Anatolia. They were in charge of important cities like their capital, Hattusa. Moreover, they increased their authority in Syria and northern Mesopotamia. Since antiquity, numerous peoples and cultures have lived in the Asian portion of Turkey's Anatolia region. The Hittites, the Phrygians, the Lydians, and the Assyrians lived in Anatolia throughout the Bronze Age. The region's strategic location between Asia and Europe made it an essential hub for trade and cultural exchange among the ancient civilizations. Hattusili I was the first king of Hattusa and the person who started the Hittite dynasty. Under his leadership, the Hittites were able to grow their territory and make deals with other kingdoms around the same time. Hattusili I was one of the first Hittite kings to use military power to expand his kingdom. Under his rule, the Hittites were able to conquer the Syrian city of Aleppo. Suppiluliuma I, who is thought to have been one of the best Hittite kings, was able to expand the empire's borders by taking over much of Syria and Palestine. Also, he signed peace and alliance agreements with Egypt. Huitali II met the Egyptians in the famous Battle of Kadesh, which is thought to be the biggest battle in ancient history, in which carriages were used. Despite the uncertain outcome of the war, the Hittites did not maintain control of the area. Instead, they signed a peace treaty with the Egyptians. In general, the Hittite kings were able to build a strong and long-lasting empire that had a big effect on politics in Anatolia and the rest of the world at the time. His military, diplomatic, and cultural accomplishments are regarded as one of the most significant contributions to ancient history made by the Hittite civilization. The Hittites had a polytheistic religion in which they worshipped many gods and goddesses, many of whom were connected to natural events. The supreme god, known as Teshub or Tarhunt, the god of storm and rain, and Hapat, the goddess of fertility and motherhood, were among the most revered deities. Hittite religion included a belief in ghosts and demons, as well as rites and sacrifices to please the gods and win their favor. Religion had a significant impact on Hittite culture and society. Several notable structures and monuments, including temples and palaces, were devoted to the gods. In addition, priests and priestesses frequently held major positions in society and politics. They could talk to the kings and other important people in the Hittite Empire and could affect what they did. The Hittite religion also influenced the art and literature of the Hittites. Many artworks and inscriptions were devoted to the gods and goddesses, and ceremonies and sacrifices were depicted in the artworks. In addition, the majority of Hittite writing is religious in nature, including hymns and pleas to the gods. The social and political organization of the Hittite Empire was complicated and hierarchical. On top stood the king, who was revered as a god on earth and had immense political and military authority. Under the monarch were prominent officials with administrative and judicial functions, including the Great Vizier and province governors. Classes were established in Hittite society, with the aristocracy at the top and peasants and artisans at the bottom. There was also a class of slaves who performed manual and servile labor for the aristocracy in temples. Under the Hittite Empire, farming was a big part of daily life, and the Hittites depended a lot on the crops they grew to stay alive. Villages comprised agricultural settlements, and each village had its own social and political structure. Hittite culture was centered on the family, and men ran both society and the home. Women also played significant roles, particularly in textile manufacture and child rearing. The Hittites were known for how good they were at war, and their battles and conquests were important parts of their history. The Hittites' most important victories include taking over Hattusa, which became the capital of their empire, taking over the kingdom of Arzal on the western coast of Turkey, and expanding to the north and east, where they made alliances with different Indo-European peoples. The Hittites also fought against other powers of the time, such as the Egyptians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. The Battle of Kadesh against Egyptian pharaoh Ramses II is among the most renowned. Despite the fact that the fight was mostly unresolved, the Hittites increased their power in the area. The Hittites were renowned for their military prowess and innovative strategies. The Hittites' use of chariots, which were two-wheeled vehicles that carried two troops, one who drove and the other who fought from the chariot, was one of their most notable strategies. The Hittites also devised advanced training procedures for their soldiers, such as the use of bow shooting and shields. In addition, the Hittites were experts at using diplomacy in times of war. Frequently, they forged alliances and pacts with other people to bolster their standing in the region. The Hittites had a profound impact on ancient history and the Anatolian region. Throughout his reign, they constructed a network of fortifications and roadways that linked the major cities of his empire, facilitating trade and cultural interchange in the region. They also developed sophisticated techniques in metallurgy and workmanship, exporting high-quality goods to other regions. Even though the Hittites were once a powerful culture, their kingdom eventually grew weak and fell apart. The empire fell apart because the Hittite monarchy wasn't as strong as it used to be, and there wasn't good government leadership. The Hittites also had to deal with problems from the outside, such as raids by nomads from the north, and the rise of other kingdoms in the area. The Hittite Empire also fell because of problems on the inside, like corruption and a lack of unity. Even though the Hittite Empire eventually fell, what it left behind was important for the rest of history. The Hittite method of making iron spread all over the world and changed the way weapons and tools were made during the Iron Age. In addition, Hittite influence in the Anatolian region persisted after their demise. Hittite successors, such as the Frese and Lydians, perpetuated the legacy of metallurgy and Hittite crafts and contributed to the cultural and economic growth of the region.